superstar and Jamelia. Speaking of superstar, we may well be speaking to a new superstar coming up next. He'll be embarrassed. But, I think we should pat him on the back. He's been in before on a couple of occasions, and I think he's really inspiring. So we're going to hear from him very, very shortly. And he's looking mortified. But see, there you go. That's what we've got. We've got inspirational people across our area. That's what I like to talk about in the morning. So that's what I do, and that's what I'll be doing shortly. So I'm excited. I'm starstruck now, Mark. 10:15, you're listening to Zetland FM. Now, since the airing of the first episode of the 4-part documentary series, The Mighty Redcar, there's been much debate about its content. Locally, there's been some criticism, but nationally, there's been a huge amount of love and a lot of praise. And I've even heard that searches online for information about Redcar has increased massively. Now, one Redcar business owner who makes an appearance in the series is with me now from Black Slab Records. Please welcome Mark Stubbs. Morning, Mark.
Morning, Julie.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Not bad.
Is the fame going to your head yet?
No, I don't want no fame. I've got enough fame. Thanks. What I've got so far will do me. That'll do,
Now, let's just go back, because we crossed paths quite a long time ago. You were doing something very different.
That's right, yeah.
And we were talking about something very different.
Yeah,
what was the upshot of that?
Well, I guess it isn't totally different, because we were kind of... it was the discussion with Michelle, wasn't it, over... she started a petition to get a Primark in the town. Primark, whatever you want to call it. And I thought that was the wrong path to take. I thought we were kind of begging them to come here when it should have been the other way around. They should have been begging to come to Redcar. But obviously, we're a long way from that, or we were at that time, definitely. So that's how we first met. I was a postman at the time. But
postman at the time. And the discussion, I do remember, because you told me, and what you told me really, really sort of blew me away, is because I'd said to you at the time, well, you're not a business owner, what do you know?
Yeah.
And what did you take from that?
Well, it was just, I totally agreed with you, I totally agreed with you. Who am I to say what the town needs? But we can all have an opinion, can't we? We can all kind of see how things where we were failing as a town, and I just thought asking for a company like Primark to come to Redcar, it just seemed a bit desperate to me. And fair play to Michelle. She got about 5,000 followers on her page from all over the place, So the sentiment was right, but it was never going to happen. So for me, it just seemed like a kind of a waste of, I don't know, not resources, because it didn't cost anything, but it just seemed like a waste of energy, and I thought we could have put it somewhere else.
Now, that really was the interesting thing for me at the time, is that she very much wanted that company to come here. Yeah. You absolutely didn't.
No.
And yet, the more the discussion progressed, you were actually both after the same thing, and that was essentially for Redcar to rise up and to thrive.
Yeah,
and so, when you left here, where did you go next?
Well, after that, I started setting plans for set my son up in business, and I thought I always wanted to do a record shop and clothing shop, so I thought I'd set him up in that, and he's a big fan of music as well. So we just got going. It just so happened I was struggling at Royal Mail at the time. But anyway, Levi started the shop on his own, and he was struggling a bit. I'd finished at Royal Mail. I was medically retired, so I jumped in, give him a hand, pushed him on, and then he's moved elsewhere. Now he ended up taking over it in the space of about 3 months. So, and that's where we are now. It's but I kind of threw everything I had into it, because I knew I had to find him something. He was working in one of the local leisure centres. I won't name names, but it is a leisure centre. And he was on a 0 hours contract, and 1 month he got 8 hours in a month. So it was like he wasn't getting anywhere, So he started doing a couple of waitering jobs and stuff like that, and I could see he was taking out of him, So. So we set the wheels in progress, but my missus was the biggest critic about me opening a Redcar, and I've told you this before. She was like, you've got to be in Middlesbrough, not Redcar. It won't work in Redcar. And she would know. She thinks she would know, because she knows Redcar trade. She's traded in Redcar all her life, So the people she's walking past, she's obviously looking and thinking, well, that's not gonna they're not going to come and buy records, not going to come and buy clothing, you know. And obviously we've seen with Regent Walk and whatever, I mean, the state of it at the minute, Burton's is closed, a few of the other shops, Giacomo's shut down. I know we didn't have one in Redcar, but they have shut down. Menswear's a bit of a disaster on the high street. At the minute Greenwood's is closed down. Marks and Spencer's is still empty. Even after, what was it, about 3 years ago, we were talking for the first time about Primark. I think Marks and Spencer's is still empty. You know, it's just an eyesore, isn't it?
So people would have looked at you and just thought, are you absolutely crackers setting up a business?
Yeah.
So how...
But my options were kind of getting smaller and smaller because I knew my time at Royal Mail was coming to an end. So it was kind of get the kids set up, and then it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. I can do I don't know, I can go pushing shopping trolleys if we have to. I'm not bothered, you know, as long as I can pay the mortgage and whatever, you know.
So how did the business turn out? How is it turning out?
Well, it's still got a way to go, you know. We're still building the brand. But a lot of we get customers from, I mean, the majority of our customers are not from Redcar. So she was kind of onto something there, the missus, you know. The missus was onto something there. But we've had people from Isle of Man, loads from over Manchester way. A lad from Australia, I think he was called Anthony. He was a good lad, yeah. He came in a few times. And as soon as he got back to Australia, he started sharing the business, you know. And we've also found people buying the T-shirts and taking photos of them wherever they are.
Yes, you're beautifully
you know?
Branded for the picture.
Yeah, beautifully
later.
Branded. Yeah,
beautifully branded.
Yeah,
now, I suppose that's the thing, really, because a high street shop doesn't have to just be high street now.
No,
you can be reaching out across the globe.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
So has that been part of your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, our Facebook page, I mean, it's great, and Instagram, obviously, fantastic. I mean, social media is advertising. That is your advertising now. It used to be flyers. Flyers are still pretty good. You stick one in the bag, you know, and whatever. But social media is so instant. The lad I've got in the shop, Matthew, he's fantastic at doing design work and that. So he's been an absolute revelation as well. He's pushed us right on, you know.
Now you're going to appear in episode 3.
3, yeah.
So how did you make that connection to Dan and the 72 Films team?
Actually, now you mention episode 3, I've been telling everybody we're episode 2. So
it's because you do make an appearance. I think,
it's just a very brief appearance, but just letting people know that it is actually episode 3. The 2 Toms are in it. It's not so much me; it's the 2 lads that were working for me. Now, when I opened the shop, it just saw the timing of it was about the same time as they were filmed. I don't know if they just started filming, November 2016, around about that time. But I hope when they opened the doors, they came in and they were blown away because they knew nothing about it, you know. And obviously, the shop's quite striking when you first walk in.
It is.
So yeah, they were blown away. So then they asked me if, like they did with plenty of other people in the town, you know, point us out some young kids where they go, where they socialise, where they do this, and we'll start, you know, we'll have a look, see if they've got a story, you know. And
the 2 lads who appear in that episode with you, the 2 people who opened the documentary last week, that's in the tanning,
2 Toms,
the 2 Toms, very funny lads they are as well. But what we're going to do is take a bit of music, and the music will be familiar, and we'll talk a bit more about your participation after
Beautiful.
that. It does mind, it gives you goose pimples, doesn't it? Tears for Fears, Head Over Heels. It's a tune that you will hear in the mighty Redcar. Now, Mark Stubbs, you are appearing in episode 3. In a way, you're quite honest about your business as well.
Okay.
In that, aren't you?
I haven't seen a lot of it of myself.
Oh, well,
you were telling me something.
I think you come across really, really well. I think you're absolutely splendid.
I like to try and be honest, you know. You wear your heart on your sleeve, don't you?
Now, talking to Kat and Caitlin last week, and I said, you know, in a way you're sort of opening yourself up, and you're there talking about, in all honesty, your business and you for the whole country to watch, not just you. Was there any part of that made you think, oh, I'm not really sure about this? No,
not really, because the bits that people say might have been part of a 2-hour conversation. And it might be a 30-second clip, you know. So you're quite comfortable. You've had a couple of cups of coffee and whatever, and you've had a bit of a chat with the cameraman and the producer and whatever. So, and they were coming in for about a year and a half. They were in and out of the shop all the time. So we got to know them quite well, and they were good people, you know. And from day one, my concern was the same as everybody else's. Don't make it a poverty programme, please. You know, don't make it a hatchet job, and don't make it a poverty programme. And I think they've definitely not made it a poverty programme. I think we can all agree to that now, because I didn't see any poverty in that first programme, you know. All right, there is a bit of controversy over the location side of it, you know, but it's by the by. If you lived anywhere outside of Seaside, you wouldn't know anything any different. Whether it's Grangetown, Redcar, South Bank, you know, it makes no odds. We're all brethren, aren't we?
Well, that's it. I mean, I suppose that's how I felt about it. We're kind of all in it together to some extent. Yeah. So really, does it matter where those boundary lines are, really? And why do you think people have been so accepted it in a kind of negative way when nationally it's been really well liked?
But for that specific reason, that maybe, and I can kind of understand where people from Redcar are coming from. They want to do a bit of people watching and people spotting and seeing people they know and getting interviewed and whatever. And you'll get a bit of that on episode 3 with me, but it's only brief, so I wouldn't tune in just for me, you know. But but you know, we do want to see familiar landmarks and familiar people. And when this, the way I look at it is, it's a story of young people. And Redcar's just the backdrop to that, but it is still a part of the story of Redcar. I mean, even my mum, bless her, I won't say too much, she's in hospital at the minute, but I went round saying her after it, and she said, I thought I'd just be walking up and down the street interviewing people, you know, and I was like, Mum, it's a 4-part series, and 45 minutes, it's going to get boring pretty quick, you know. So there is that kind of mentality, but I think you've got to see it through the eyes of somebody that doesn't come from Teesside. And James's story, Caitlin's story, all them stories we can all relate to. I'm sure we all know someone like that, you know. And I don't know, I think we should just... social media is a playground of negativity, particularly Facebook. And it has been for the past couple of years, but you know, people are always looking to pick things apart, you know. But if you go on Twitter, crikey, the raving about the show, and that's the eyes we need to see it through, because the only people talking about Redcar 2 weeks ago were people from Redcar, you know. And
now everybody's talking about it. Everybody's searching about it. What do you hope? Because we talked to Dan about what he hopes people will take from it. What do you hope people will see from outside the area about us?
It's hard to say. I mean, they can what they will take from it is that we're no different to hundreds of other towns up and down the country. That's what I think they'll take from it, apart from we're under the shadows of the steelworks. Now, for me, I mean, yeah, Redcar is under the shadows of the steelworks, but Grangetown, even more so, is directly, literally under the shadow of the steelworks. So to try and separate the two, I mean, I didn't want them also, when I was talking, I didn't want to dwell on the closure of the works and just make it all about that. But then when you see some of this drone footage, you can't ignore it, you know. You can't ignore it. It's just, and there's a beauty in that as well, in the steelworks, you know, when it looks amazing, you know. All right, it might be dead, it might be decaying, but there is still a beauty in it. And some of that scenery, I just think maybe they'll look at it and just see a bit of their own town in it. I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will. And that's certainly been the response on Twitter about it, for certain.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you could use this as a really good promotional tool for you. Where would you like to see the business go?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't plan really far in the future. It's just not my way, you know. But I would just like to make a good, decent living out of it, you know, and keep on taking on young lads like the Toms. And there was another couple of lads that work for me as well. Just getting back to the mighty Redcar for a second. I mean, young Josh worked for me. Rock solid lad, absolutely. Sounds a pound, only 16, 17. In the cadets and all the rest of it. And they followed him around for about 2-3 months. And then he decided he didn't want to do the show anymore. So kind of look at it from the producer's point of view. You've got to find the stories that are there, you know, that are worth following on, you know what I mean? So I feel sorry for Dan and them, really, because they've kind of had to go with the stories, and to them, Grangetown, Redcar, there's very little separating the two to them, because they are outsiders looking in. So for us to get all up at tea about, that's Grangestown, that's South Bank, that's Middlesbrough, you know, to them. Anywhere else, if it was, say, for instance, God forbid, the only way is Essex. Yeah, I know I'm saying that, but would they complain about being filmed in the next town down? I don't think they would, you know. I don't think people would bat an eyelid at it, you know.
Well, it is funny how people from other parts of the country do sort of generally perceive it, because, you know, if I've got in touch with the company and I say, I'd like somebody local to me, and they'll say, oh, well, we've got somebody in Leeds.
Yeah.
And I go, Leeds? Leeds is nowhere near us now. There's your big difference.
There's a difference, exactly. Now that would be a difference. But in regards to the business, I mean, we keep driving on. We keep getting new clothing labels in. Obviously, I think I'm the only menswear shop in the town now, unless it's obviously Sports Direct or wherever. But so we've got to keep pushing on with that. Otherwise, we're just going to again the shops that are closing down. Regent Walk at the minute, I despair of what's going to happen down there. I really do.
Now, I suppose when we first started to talk, and it was it was very close to the end of the steelworks, and they didn't seem any hope or anything like that. And then you've taken that entrepreneurial step, which some people would have said, oh, you're absolutely crackers.
As I've plenty more in Redcar.
Exactly. Now, that's the interesting thing. Things, to me, seem to have changed in that there's lots of other people putting investment in and opening bars and opening cafes and opening eateries and that sort of thing. So how have you seen the area change that time?
Yeah, well, I mean, from the day I opened, it's changed drastically down, particularly, as I call it, the Courtham Quarter, from the clock down to Courtham. It's changed massively. I mean, there was myself, there was Jackie and the Gypsy, and there was Paul in the Rum Bar when I opened. That was like the start. I think Jackie probably started it. You know, with the Gypsy Rovers, she took a gamble, and
there's loads of new things opening up and down there.
But Station Road, I mean, it's getting there now. There's 4 or 5 new pubs, and then there's from the clock down towards Courtham. I mean, there's so many new businesses open down there. Fair play to everyone who's dipped their hands in their pockets, you know, to try, because they believe in the town, you know. After the steelworks, there was this mentality that once the steelworks shut, we were dead, you know, and it was never the case. It was never the case, because some of us have never worked in the steelworks, so we know there's life without it, you know.
Now, I suppose the thing is that we, across the news generally, are seeing a lot of big shops like Woolworths closing, Debenhams, they're talking about Debenhams, we've lost Maplin, there's loads of big firms losing their business. It always seems to me as if we could be creating something really different with small businesses like yours.
That's how it's got to
Where do you see the future of the high street?
The future of the high street, I'm really not sure about, because any high street, because of just the cost of being on them in the first place, you know, because landlords tend to not want to drop the prices on high street prices. They've been used to getting a certain amount and they expect to keep getting it. I mean, that on Regent Walk's a prime example, the big unit there. The Beals, apparently there was some going on over the rent deal. I mean, that is a big unit. It's going to be smaller and more specialist, because with the bigger companies, people are just going online with it. I mean, what we've noticed, we sell new vinyl and used vinyl, and we've noticed the new vinyl, we can't really compete on it with Amazon. Who'll sell it for a $5 cheap, and you just cannot compete with it. You're just laying so much money out, and people will buy off there, whether they say it or not. But, you know, you will get people who want to use a record shop. So we've got to find where we can compete, and where we can compete is on vintage vinyl, because they do little bits and bobs, but we do loads of it. And we've extended the back of the shop out and we've filled it with vintage vinyl, so you'll have to pop in and have a look at it, you know.
Oh, I love your shop. I love your shop.
Cheers,
it's so and I like all the cassette. You know, you've got that reel-to-reel tape and that, right?
Tapes,
See, my other half, he's looking at that, watching it on the telly and going, oh, this was joyful.
Well, when he was in the shop, he was chatterbox as well, you know. He's a bit of a geek, isn't he?
He absolutely is. Is there anything that you'd love to give a mention to? Because one other thing I must mention is that you've been classed as one of the top 50 great things about Redcar and Cleveland. How did that make you feel?
Oh, brilliant, yeah, fantastic, yeah. Matthew shouted me in from the back of the shop, saying, hey, come and look at this, you know. I was like, oh yeah, get in there, nice one. It's you know, everybody that comes in the shop loves it. They love it. And if you haven't been in, come in and have a look, and you'll love it as well.
Now, for anybody who doesn't know where Black Slab is, where are you?
We're on Millbank Terrace, just down from Anna Turley's office, and opposite Central Park Restaurant, if you know where that is.
Cracking.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'd just like to say thank you, Julie. And watch the rest of the show. Watch the rest of the Mighty Redcar. Watch all 4 episodes. But try and watch it through different eyes and not just Redcar eyes. That'll do.
Mark Stubbs, you're a little joy. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Julie.
Huge thanks again to Mark Stubbs from Black Slab Records, which is not far away from us at all, just round at Millbank Terrace. If you would like to offer him your support in any way, please feel free to do so. I think what comes across really well about Mark is he's absolutely proud of being here. He is proud of what he's doing. And more to the point, he's kind of put his money where his mouth is, which I think is really admirable. Really. So anyway, so thanks to him, and we'll see him in episode 3. But he does kind of have fleeting glimpses through the series, really. The next episode of The Mighty Redcar is on Thursday night, BBC 2 at 9 o'clock. And we're going to hear from Dan Dewsbury, the director, who has been fending off a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks. And we'll hear from him on Friday.